Hi, I'm James Andrews, and we're continuing our conversation with Dr. Tom Tobin, author, Reach Everyone, Teach Everyone. Last time we spoke, you talked about adopting UDL principles and access. The flexibility of UDL is something that a number of our book study group participants noted in their comments. You and Kirsten say that mobile learning is a best practice. Would you share some ways that that's been done well for us?
Absolutely. I really like the questions, James, from some of your colleagues who were referring to the idea of the small snackable pieces of content and interactions that appeared in a couple of the questions that people wrote down. And that we actually took from a mega study that Google did on how people use their mobile devices in order to seek information. And so one of the challenges is that, have we done that well in education as well? Have we broken things down into small little bits? Now, there will be skeptics among us who say breaking it down into small little bits is hand-holding and coddling, and it's reducing the rigor of our content. And they're right if we're doing it wrong. So the challenge here, I love pointing to Katie Linder, Linder. She's at Oregon State University. She and her colleagues there, they have research on learner device preferences. What are the devices on which remote learners would prefer to actually do their work? And we all think about our mobile devices and, oh, everybody's going to want to learn on their phones. That's actually not true. Most people learn on their phones because it's the device that they have when they're in a learning situation. Or it's the device that they have because of barriers of income level. The lower down you go on the socioeconomic scale, the more likely people are to own phones rather than desktop computers or laptops or tablet devices. But when Katie Linder and her colleagues did a preferences study, people would rather be doing their learning on a laptop, on a desktop machine. And they say 93% of college learners have phones, but only about 17% of them use them regularly for study purposes. And that's something that we need to take into account when we're thinking about access. Access sometimes means having access is better than no access, but then there's degrees of access and degrees of ease of use as well. So if we're thinking about people on their mobile devices, that might be the only way that they can do studying. And it might not be the best way. So it might take more work, more effort, different ways of thinking about it than if you had your students in a face-to-face classroom where they could come to a computer lab on campus, which some of them can't. So some good ways that we can design things for learner variability. Do that +1 analysis for the multimedia that you find or you create for your learning interactions. And multimedia is writ broadly. It's not just videos, it's audio clips, it's your dreaded PowerPoint presentation slides, it's all of the text that you've created. And how can you do +1 design for those kinds of things? Giving people just that one more choice really helps them if they are forced to be on their phones. Then they can use that tool in more than one way. They can listen to something or they can read it on their phones. And I don't know about you, but reading a PowerPoint lecture on your phones, it's terrible.
It is irritating, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So do that +1 analysis and give students those choices. This also helps because, let's face it, we're all busy faculty members, designers, staff members. We don't have time to tear down our courses and rebuild them. So we have to be strategic in where we choose to do these kinds of interventions. And so if you're thinking about that, if you haven't checked it out yet, check out udloncampus.cast.org. That has excellent examples of college and university UDL applications that help learners wherever, whenever as well. And it's got some really nice hands-on examples in lots of different areas across the curriculum. So mathematics, the sciences, business, the humanities, all the way across. And if you have a good example of what you've done with Universal Design for Learning, our friends at CAST want to hear about it and showcase your stuff on their website. So definitely check it out.
Great. Thank you, Tom. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and we'll see you again soon.